Good evening, Sir Chan, and good evening, fellow philosophers. Today I'll be having a magisterial lecture on Aristotle, Plato, and the pre-socratic philosophers. Now, to begin my lecture, Western philosophy is often emphasized as metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, and nature of the human being as a primary idea of the chosen philosophy. Next, Western philosophers normally involve metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, and knowledge of the human being as their philosophy, as part of their supreme philosophy, since it tells us how important it is to understand their philosophy through this. Third, supporting point. First supporting point. Western philosophers were greatly influenced by Socrates as they continued their research on their philosophy. Second, Metaphysics plays a huge role on Western philosophers as their idea is closely connected and somehow based on metaphysics. And third, the philosophy of Aristotle, Plato, Democritus, and Pythagoras, Parmenides, and Heraclitus is about how one connects with nature, reason, becoming, ethics, space, and body and mind. To illustrate those points, for instance, Aristotle and Plato look up to Socrates for he's the father of philosophy, and they were inspired truly by his works, so they made their own philosophy. Second, in particular with metaphysics, it's the study of the existence in ourselves, which philosophers always mention, and what their philosophy is. It's closely interconnected with each of their philosophies. Third, in the case of philosophers that was mentioned in some metaphysics, epistemology, and ethics, in their philosophy, it was an idea of what their philosophy is. Insights on those supporting points. Philosophers were always inspired on the philosophy of Socrates, and they continued the journey into understanding philosophy by making their own. Second, metaphysics is the study of how the universe works. Now, Western philosophers in their philosophy is. Third, each one of the philosophers this is mentioned has a unique philosophy, such as Aristotle with his metaphysics that you must be separate and unchanging source of all other beings. Plato with his world of forms, that to see the world of forms, philosophers have an idea of what it is because we are trained to do so. Democritus argues that atoms are the building blocks of all things. Anaxagoras with its everything within everything. Parmenides with all is one, and finally with Heraclitus with all a life is a constant flux. To proceed that, the implications. I myself am intrigued at what Socrates has influenced philosophy, therefore it inspired me to learn what philosophy is and understand what philosophy is. Second, metaphysics, epistemology, ethics in nature of the human being is a primary source and ideas of philosophy, therefore I should study like how the Western philosophers did to get a grasp of what their philosophy is, to give me a better understanding and how can I get a better comprehension their philosophy. Each one of the philosophers that was mentioned made me understand that a bit more of philosophy in their own unique ways. A philosopher that stunned me the most was Plato, since I made a research about his dialogue that was Charmides, and it was very amazing and it made me realize about some things. Conclusion. Western philosophy, you're to realize things outside the box, such as how the world works and how our bodies works as a whole. It is a mix of philosophies, the world of forms, and the form outside from space, into knowledge and what we are made of. That's all.